Welcome to our next lesson. The next chapter of the book that we're going to discuss today is chapter 6, which is communication, and it's about speaking to your team. How do we effectively speak to those people on our team? And by our team, that could mean the members of the class, it could mean our family, it could mean our buddies in the neighborhood, it could mean our basketball team, it could mean, there's a lot, we all got a lot of teams. It could be our small group that we study with. Let me start out with a biblical truth that comes from Proverbs 18:21. The tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. And you know, when I first read that, and I totally understood how the tongue can bring death or life, how the tongue can lift up or can tear down, because I've been on the receiving and giving end in both instances. There have been times when people have said things to me that built me up. There have been times when people have said things to me that have torn me down. There have been times when I've said things to people that have built them up, and there have been times when I have said things that have brought them down. And I don't think it was intentional on either other people's part or my own, but the consequences really were. And the message here is that sometime we can talk too much. Sometime, you know, we've got to know that this is the time maybe to use a different form of communication than our tongue. Maybe it's to use our mind, our heart. Maybe we need to listen more and talk less. So the tongue can be a great weapon, and it can help us win, but the tongue can also be very destructive and help us or someone else lose. I'm going to start out today with the 7 keys, because as I've said from the very beginning, at the end of every chapter, there are 7 keys to help us deal with whatever we're dealing with. So I'm going to cover the 7 keys right now, and I'll bring in, while I'm doing that, and relate it to some of the stories that are being told throughout the chapter. The first key in communication, and we're talking about internal communication, speaking to your team or your family or your friend. Number 1, measure your words. Think before you speak. And I tell you what, I've been so guilty, especially early on in my life, of just saying what I thought instead of thinking about it first. James 1:19 says, "My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." Quick to listen, slow to speak, and I'm going to say slower to become angry. Number 2, key number 2, focus on the positive. Be an encourager. Be someone who's lifting somebody up. Try to give each and every person reasons to believe in themselves. Uplifting communication goes a long, long way. Colossians 4:6 says, "Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone." Key number 3, don't dwell on the negative. Don't do like I did as a coach, especially in my early years, and even in my later years sometime. And that is just keep pounding away and hopping on the things that really weren't going well, instead of maybe emphasizing and going to the things that really worked well. Proverbs 15:1 says, "A gentle answer deflects anger, but harsh words make tempers flare." People get really upset, when they hear harsh words. 4, get everyone on the same page. Don't send mixed messages. Don't give one person one message and then somebody else another message. It's a team effort, so everybody has got to be on the same page. Open the floor. Open the floor. What are we opening the floor to? We're opening the floor for conversation, for feedback. You want to hear what your team members have to say. Give them an opportunity to speak and say what needs to be said. Allow them to contribute so they become part of the solution. Proverbs 15:22, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. So not only must you plan and must you listen, but all those who work for you must do the same. Number 6, and this is incredibly important, observe, ask, and listen. The greatest storyteller of all times was Jesus Christ. The greatest listener of all time was Jesus Christ. He told his stories, he listened to his people so that he then could be prepared to ask great questions. That's what my mom did. That's what my wife still does today. They listen. They listen with their eyes, their ears, and their heart, and they ask good questions. 7, another incredibly key point. Put it in writing. Have a vision plan. Make it plain for everyone to see. Put it in black and white so not only can they see it, but they can read it and they can keep it. And when they go a little bit off track, they can come back and reread it again. Those are 7 keys that I think, really can help the whole communication process. And I can't really emphasize enough how important it is to share your stories, listen to what your people have to say, and then be prepared to ask great questions. And if you're really upset about something, put it off to the next day before you have that discussion. Last but not least, let's end this session like we have every other one in prayer. Lord, give me the right words to say when speaking to those on my team. Grant me wisdom, insight, boldness, and grace as I communicate to them the vision with which you have entrusted me. Help me to be an encourager. Help me to be a better listener. Help me to be strong and decisive. Help me to be the best communicator I can be, not the best talker I can be. Have a great week, everyone. Use your words to lift up others as well as yourself. See you next week.